Good morning, everybody. Let's get all set up here. See if some of you people are logging on. Um, there we go. We'll give it a minute here. There we go. I see numbers popping up. I do have now yet another computer. We returned to the other one, and oh my, I did brush. And excuse me. We returned the other one. I think I love this one, but we're still learning. And just a matter of, I don't know, seconds ago, we were having a minor panic attack. Okay, so I want to show you this. I think this is funny. I don't know why it's up here, but this just with football coming on, okay? One of you sent this to me. When I say I need 2 more minutes at the quilt shop, I mean, like football minutes. So 20 minutes, a timeout, maybe one of those replay reviews where the refs get to watch it over and over again. Yeah, I hear that. That's right. So this is something else that I found while everybody's logging on. I always try and fill the top end with a little bit of stuff. Look at that. With Valentine's Day around the corner, I don't know how this fell into my Facebook feed, but it did. And I think this is just beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a bird like that, and I'm sure there are those of you out there that have, and you might say, "Oh, it's a blah, 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 blah." Okay, here's another one. I've seen these sort of photos before where mommy bird is taking care of baby birds inside a flower. It just makes my heart so happy. All right, here we go. Um, this came across my feed, and I'm sorry I don't know who it is. For that, I apologize. But I thought this was really cool. It's a little wool sampler with a bunch of different stitching on it. And I can tell you right now, just by looking at it, if those squares are bigger than an inch, I would be surprised, maybe an inch and a half. So I think this was really inspiring to me because it's just taking simple blocks, squares, doing different things on those squares. And I think I've shown you in the way past, I'm working on something with circles and it's becoming too circly. And I'm thinking that throwing in some of these other shapes might just be the ticket. Then yesterday on Sundays, oh, this is driving me crazy. On Sundays, John will be in here with a comb in a minute. Yeah, I'll put a hat on. On Sundays, we did this all the time during COVID, but once in a blue moon it works out. But Wendy is in the group along with Robin and Meryl, and she uh, sent me to this page. She wants to make this scarf, and I lost my mind over it. I think this is one of the most beautiful, he's getting a comb, one of the most beautiful scarves I have ever seen. And then she offered to knit it for me because I don't knit. But what I want to talk about here is that I think sometimes as quilt makers, we all want to be all matchy match, you know? And so let me go to what this here. Look how that teal is just blending in beautifully with those other blues. And if this isn't the case of when you're doing something monochromatic, it reach outside the box. Make sure it's not matchy match. It'll make the whole thing better. Okay, here. That's right here. There we go. There we go. My stylist, John, hair and makeup. Thank you. No, I can. So I just absolutely adore this. And you know what? She offered to make one for me. Oh, I love it. Okay, and then Fran, and we're getting to the show soon, and I'm very excited about today. I can't even, well, when I get to it, I'll get to it. Let me get through here. Okay, Fran sent me this, and she did her own thing with our BOM, and I believe she said it was like nothing she has ever done before, and it kind of got her kids' attention, so that's wonderful. Then we did not make it down to Road to California, but on Linda Neal's feed, she got herself a big fat ribbon. And Linda comes to my retreat darn near the whole time. Her applique skills are over the top. I think she got a best of show, to tell you the truth, but it's not in here. And she actually is teaching or has taught at Asilomar XYZ. Her skill set is astonishing. And if you have, my retreat has retired and now it's going over to Deb Stevens. And by the way, people of my retreat, Debbie's coming up with stuff and I'm pretty excited. Anyways, you'll sit here and go, amen, if you know Linda Neal's work. And she's such a lovely person to boot. And then, of course, we have to throw in that Jackie Brown did the quilting. I think it's so important to, take care of oh yeah, see her in blue, won first place at Road to California. I will just tell you, I don't know what that feels like. So I'm gonna tell you what we're doing today. I go here to there and I run into wonderful people this last January, and we will talk about it in the piece in the recording. I was lucky enough to go to a virtual event at the Stitching Post that is a fundraiser for the second Sacred Saturday of second, yeah, not first, second Sacred Saturday in July, of which they are celebrating the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. This year is their 50th. All right. And so at this fundraiser in December, I went and Kathy Deggendorfer, I always screw up her last name. Sorry, Kathy. Did a presentation that really, really got my attention. She is an artist. Let's take a look at, she's often done the posters for Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. Let's take a look at her pieces. These are so whimsical, so wonderful, and a complete fest for the eyes. Here's the 2016 um, poster for Sisters. I love this stuff. And by the way, she has a Mini Cooper. See those roses there? That she has it tattooed all over her Mini Cooper. And this is 2018. Well, so what we're going to do here is Kathy put together a reenactment of what happened in early December for us. And she is an artist. And the presentation that she did was called Chasing Creativity. Now, John watched it and wanted me to clarify that one of the first things she says is a daily practice. And so she took us through her daily practice during COVID. It might bring back PTSD or make you smile. It made me smile. And then at the end, I said, please talk about how you designed the poster this year. Oh, wait, and there's a fabric line that goes with it. So let's just see if Kathy can bring to you what she brought to me with a big giant smile on my face. And I am again so pleased because we had a bunch of technical issues that Kathy hung with me so that you guys can see this. Yeah, let's go. Kathy, how are you today?
I am well. Thank you for asking. I hope you're well too.
I am. Everybody, this is Kathy, and I am so excited that she's here today with us because she presented a thing for the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show in December. I'll let you talk about it. And I was there, well, virtually I was there, and I was gobsmacked on this because it really spoke to me. You have some real simple truths. So I'm going to go to PowerPoint and I'm going to let you explain the specialness of the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show and why this year, I mean, you're like queen for a day this year, is what you are,
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
my opinion. So, Kathy, have at it. Tell us about what happened in December.
Oh, sure, I'd be happy to. So I live in Sisters, and I was so honored to be asked to do the 50th anniversary quilt show poster for this upcoming 2025, which we're in now. And Don Boyd, who's the executive director for the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show, which is a not-for-profit that supports the production of the show and other educational things, invited me to be the speaker for this year's fundraiser. And I was pleased, but I was also kind of, it was humorous because I thought, oh my gosh, these people, they're so creative already. They don't really need to hear this talk. But I, I rethought it and I thought, you know what? Everybody kind of comes to creativity from their own perspective. So I thought I'd just talk about what my path is and what my process is to try and stay in the creative mode. So here we are. So I love this quote from Maya Angelou. Who doesn't love Maya Angelou, right?
Right.
You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. And I think that's absolutely true. My daily practice has to do with I create a cartoon. And here I am in my pajamas with a cup of coffee and all of my pens and paints and everything, just getting ready to like make the day by starting with a little art practice. This daily practice has a lot of importance because it makes you bring out your materials, whether or not you are a quilter or a knitter or doing, a painter. Just bringing out those materials every day is really important. It kind of kickstarts your whole skill set. You might not think in the end, oh, I'm never gonna, this is not gonna apply to what my overall practice is, but it's surprising how it can be a prompt. And also, you know what? It keeps you from overthinking. You're not, if you're thinking you're going to create a king size quilt, I can't even imagine that. But if you're thinking that, then sometimes it's hard to just get going. I think bringing out your materials is a little bit like having an opportunity to gather with old friends. And every time you get together, you learn something new about them.
I like
So
that.
you have to think of it like that.
Yeah.
When I started doing my cartooning and doing it every day on Instagram, which keeps you honest, by the way, because people say, well, where was the cartoon today? It started during pandemic, and remember when you're wearing a mask and you had to try to remind everybody that they should wear their mask. And so wintertime now, it's especially important because, remember in the days when it used to actually work pretty good, like it kept you warm too. And not only that, but kept us all alive.
Yes.
So and then even though I am not a quilter, I admit I live in Sisters where there are plenty of quilters. And what I have learned is there is a thing about obsession, and it has to do with purchasing more fabric. But the pandemic did one great thing. It allowed me to get rid of all the mauve fabric I'd collected in 1985. And I made plenty of these masks. And I know I told Alex earlier, I said, oh yeah, I was a total mask pusher because I would go, remember those long lines waiting at Trader Joe's or Costco? I just would stuff like 6 or 10 of them in my purse. Plenty of quilters did so much amazing work during
Yep.
pandemic because we created a lot of masks that were used by medical professionals and by lots of people when there just wasn't access. So and then of course I had to just I plucked a few of these out because I remember I did them every day. There was the referees at the grocery store who always throwing me the penalty flag because remember when they painted the arrows on the floor in the aisles and you had to go the right direction? Well, yeah. I was constantly being flagged out. My team didn't do well. And then it's like it's interesting because I remember doing that major clean on the cupboards because you had time, right? Uh and catching my husband like using some old 30-year-old bird seed in the soup. It's like, yeah. So I'm sure it must have happened other places too. And sadly, my cupboards once again are a mess. But
Of course they
the
are.
birds didn't get bird seed that week. And then there was also that feeling of when you finally did get out of the house, wearing a mask, going somewhere, and which I love to do with my friends. It's like I always felt like I would Thelma and Louise, like we're making a break for it. And I think people might remember that I have this car that I had a prior fabric line come out that was this bunch of roses, and I had my car wrapped in it. So I'm still driving that car. I don't think I can ever get rid of that little Mini Cooper. I also fell prey to that, getting a pandemic pet. And it was a good thing because I also got a new hip, and people on the street would stop me and say, "How's your health? How's your hip?" So at least I had something else they could go to by getting this darling corgi puppy, Cooper. So now if you follow me, you'll see what Cooper does every day. So Cooper, the corgis are smart dogs, and they definitely know a lot more about how to control their owners than we do. So Cooper is excellent at jumping up onto the couch and also excellent about jumping up onto the bed, but he cannot get into the car without assistance. So um, I had to show that. He is well known around town because if I go to meetings or whatever, I typically stop at the coffee shop, and he always is first in line to get his pup cup. And he also is quite demanding in terms of if I have a meeting with someone else, he requires a certain amount of petting and the acknowledgement of the fact that he is really the reason for anyone coming over. And then there's always the glory of having a corgi. Nobody told me before I got him that they're incredible shedding machines. Although after I got him, I had a friend who said, "Yes, my sister has a corgi. Its name was Edward, and they changed it to Shedward." So if you see me on the street, not only do I have to buy those fabric roller things at Costco in bulk, but I also am covered with dog hair most of the time. I think it's always good to understand how important it is for us to be gather and talk to other people who have different backgrounds and experiences than you do, because they have a darn lot to offer. And I go out of my way to try and make connections with people that do a different practice than I do. That's helpful. Here's a little shot of a group that I belong to, but we all call them creative cohorts. And because I really believe it's not what you know, it's who you know, because you just never know who interesting person is going to spark that amazing new idea that you have. So quilters have access to amazing quilting guilds. I'm actually meeting with one this afternoon. We also have a printmaking studio here in Sisters that's really terrific, and there's so many wonderful artists, and all of that can be extrapolated out to whatever work that you do yourself, your practice. Critique groups are really helpful. I mean, sometimes people avoid them, but I think they can be really helpful, that people can uh, help you just look at your work in a slightly different way. This mending group is a group that I belong to. We meet annually, and it is a super diverse group of women, including the woman in the orange actually won the Oscar. She's a puppeteer. She won the Oscar for best film with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. It was produced in Portland. There's also women in the background there who are designers, fashion designers, fabric designers, amazing quilters, weavers, and handworking in lots of different ways. And that's a super stimulating way to think differently about your work and become more creative. I'm also super lucky because right here where my studio is where Pine Meadow Ranch Center for Arts and Agriculture is. We own 260 acres here in Sisters, right behind where Jean Wells lives. So if you ever look at her images, the mountains and the fields that are right there are part of our fields. It's a great place for people to take a break, let themselves work on process. It's really stimulating for myself because I'm surrounded with a variety of artists all the time, writers, musicians, playwrights. And I think there's access to those kinds of things through lecture series and others wherever you might live. Of course, I've got to show, this back to the cartooning thing. This is Juanita. Juanita is the bane of all of our existence, except every artist absolutely loves her. She was brought on board to take care of our sheep, but she really prefers to be around horses rather or cows. I guess she's sort of an example of like, you never quite know what your choices might be. You might start off with one thing and go to another. And then, it's great to gather with other artists and just take a moment to be outside and do your practice outside. We have the luxury of having Wyches Creek run through the property here, and it's just really rejuvenating for me to like spend time with other artists. And then, of course, there's like sitting around talking about your practice or talking with other friends. And this is the most boring part for Cooper because nobody's petting him, but he's getting plenty of snooze time. Probably almost everybody recognizes Giuseppe Ribaldo, who's one of my favorite designers. And he spent a month here last year with us. I think Cooper would have happily just hopped into his suitcase and headed home with him because he gave the absolute best belly rubs, apparently, ever. So Cooper, she's Cooper approved. I had to include this one about like, where do you look for inspiration and innovation? I mean, the Cooper looks in places where maybe you might not want to go, but it apparently is very inspiring for him. I like to think too about other organizations and people who think a lot about creativity and it. And one of my favorite stories is about 3M. 3M, the company that brings you Scotch tape and all other things like that. They have a fabulous campus where they work, and they really encourage their staff to go out every single day and take a walk and be outside and not necessarily think about the work that they're doing. And I think one of my favorite stories about them is the guy that invented the Post-it note that outside on one of those walks, he was actually the choir director at his church. And he was just really trying to figure out a way to keep his choir members from dog earing all the pages in the hymnals and came up with the idea to do Post-it notes. And now how we probably couldn't even live without Post-it notes. Take a walk, clear your head. I have heard from neurologists and other neuroscientists that walking in a green space for as little as 25 minutes is enough to give your brain a break and boost cognitive functioning. So if you're stuck in a cycle, you might just think about going outside. My dog is my trainer. He's doing a pretty good job of that. Cooper does like to go out and spend a bit of time in the garden. So if you haven't got an opportunity to like walk in nature outside on a big trail or a big property, don't forget you can always go outside and just breathe in the air and check out your garden. I thought maybe it'd be interesting for the listeners to hear about creating the 50th annual Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show poster. It's such an honor for me. I mean, I've known Jean Wells for many years, and it's really incredible when you see this volunteer-run organization not only survive but really have amazing success and really create the community that we have here in Sisters. So I was excited about being asked to create this. Sorry, this might be a little hard for you guys to see, but it's the actual original drawing that I came up with. That it's probably a little bit easier to see as it kind of gets colored in, but this is how I start with the drawing. And here you can see how it's starting to take place. So the 5 ponderosa pine trees represent the 5 decades that the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show it has been in existence. The perspective is from the east. I associate that with the beginning as the sun rises, brings light onto the space, looking west towards where the sun sets. So there's plenty of opportunity in between for the future. And the reason I put this piece in is because it shows the progress of the image. It was important for me to include all these wonderful flowers that we have in our area that are native plants. They're also, the benefit is they're resilient, just like the quilt show, because the deer don't eat them. Then we have the sagebrush and the rabbit brush kind of fills the whole area to the east of where Sisters is, with all these marvelous round shapes. The greenish one are the sagebrush and the yellow is rabbit brush. And the cool thing about rabbit brush, which I had to include because it's right next to those beautiful flowers, is they act like an antibiotic for our pollinators. So as the bees fly through their yellow bloom, they actually receive a health benefit for that. I had to showcase those guys. This I included just because it kind of shows the working, everybody likes to look at the tool room, right? So it's the paint and the paintbrushes and all the different things. And you have to step away from the work a little bit and back up. Here you could really see the 5 ponderosas and the flowers and sagebrush. And then as I build it out, you can see the agricultural fields, the town of Sisters sort of emerging there in the midsection. And then I'm starting to fill the area that are the foothills of the Sisters area, because we're in a volcanic area. I love the fact that the sagebrush and the rabbit brush reflect that same round image as in the foothills. And then I darken the trees. I forget to mention the fact that whenever I paint a ponderosa, I always start with yellow because it captures the sunlight. And then you add on the other deeper colors, the sepia tone, and it makes those images pop. You see, it's more emphasized there on the foothills, the rounded shapes and how they reflect the rounded shapes of the sagebrush and the rabbit brush. And there's a little closer image. You can see the Indian paintbrush popping up in the piece. And then the patterning that I like to add with the tiny little black dots
Love
that
those.
kind of indicate. Yeah, I love that gives it sort of some texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks. And then here's the completed piece. I was so thrilled that Free Spirit Fabrics decided to do a line of fabric from this, which the challenge just came out, I think today, do a piece. And I think it's going to be available, the fabric's going to be available in March. So I know you can order it from Stitch and Post, but you can probably encourage your local quilt shop to actually look into the line, because part of it is a fundraiser for the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show as a not-for-profit, and we want to make sure we support them.
And the name of
So
the line is? What's the name of the line?
Sisters Mountain Meadow
Nice.
from Free
Nice.
Spirit. Yeah.
There's your
And
buddy.
here's my buddy Cooper, who's like, oh, really? You're just so full of hot air. But
I'm sorry, he's making snort. It's not becoming, okay? Kathy,
it's the corgi side eye that can really get you.
I love this. I mean, little did you know when you started the painting, this is not your first painting you've done for the quilt show, that it would land into a fabric line. And you awesomely offered to show us the panel and cut off a piece so everybody can see it.
Yeah, so I just have to switch so I can back up far enough so that
Okay,
I can
sure.
turn you
Here we
all.
go. And again, people, you can call this a Stitch and Post in Sisters, Oregon, and get your pre-order. Are they having some sort of competition with this? with people making
Yeah,
quilt.
Free Spirit just came out today. I think I reposted it on my Instagram
Uh-huh.
about a quilt challenge. So
Awesome.
here's, hopefully you can see it. Maybe I'll back
Oh
up a
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
further.
Go towards the chest of drawers. Yeah, there
There
you
we
go.
go.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
very
Now
fun.
now we have a little extra story.
Absolutely. I am so excited. So I someone reached out to me, this Joan from Bucklebee Bags, and she said, "Oh, I saw that have this new line from Free Spirit. I would love to make you a pair of tennis shoes." And so she did. And darn, I put them back on. I got them off.
They're
Um
super comfortable, people.
they are. So she teaches classes in
The
oops,
other
wrong
way. There you
direction.
go.
There.
Up
Whoop.
there.
Yep, there. You
That's
see the
good.
floral?
Yes.
Oh, in the town? It's so cool. She teaches classes mostly all over the East Coast, but I'm hoping we can get her to come out here to the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. So she made me a pair, and then when I told her that Alex had reached out and wanted to know if I could be on the program, she said, "What's her shoe size? I'll make her a pair." And I was like, "Oh, so exciting!" So
Love it
she did.
completely. And what is the name of her company again?
I think it's Bucklebee Bags, or
Right.
she also has it, I think, under Happy Feet, but you can follow her on Instagram. Her name is Joan Riddell. And I have yet to meet her, but how amazing is that to
Hey,
to
look,
create something like that? Oh yeah. So yeah, so Alex has the little tree pattern. I have the little
little
floral pattern
daisies.
on the
But look at
toe.
this too,
Yeah.
everybody. Two different. Mm-hmm.
Too different.
Exactly.
I know.
Too cool for
They're
school.
super comfy, and yeah, she teaches classes all over the mostly the East Coast, but I'm trying to beg her to come on out here because I think that's pretty incredible.
And
Yeah.
again, this is the 50th anniversary of the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. I'll be there, you'll be there, everyone's going to be there or be square. And Jean has a beautiful book that she's been working on for, I think, almost a couple years, commemorating
Yeah.
the whole thing. And it's just going to be Woodstock. Only we keep our clothes on.
Still wear your tennis shoes if you have to.
Exactly, exactly. Kathy, thank you so much. You have been more than patient. That's all I'm going to say, everybody. She has been more than patient.
All good. It's all good. It's always good to talk with you, and congratulations on your great program, and thanks for including me. I really appreciate it.
For your patience. Talk to you
Okay.
later.
Okay. See you
Bye bye.
later.
Isn't that the best? I mean, totally. I've got so many things I've got to cover here. First of all, Joan, when you sent me those sneakers, I did not open them. I did not open them. John and I were going through some dreaded illness. Okay. And then when I got energy to open them, I almost lost my mind. All right. And thank you note I sent you. It's like, blah, 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 blah. Love these sneakers. And I didn't get Kathy's joke that if we're naked, we still have to wear the sneakers. So, anyways, I wonderful. Okay, so let's go through some of this stuff that really struck me was one of the reasons I take classes from other people is to be exposed to other things. Now, this is primarily in quilting, but I have been known to take basket classes, woodworking classes, etc. It just grows. It grows what's inside of here. The more you know, the less you know. But it's so funny because there's so many things that singularly draw us all together as creators. Also, free spirit is where you will want to do the challenge. I just want to reiterate that. And you can get your panel from the Stitch In Post in Sisters, Oregon, although I believe Kathy said it won't be arriving till about March, and or go ask your local quilt shop. Okay. Also, Giuseppe, if you don't know, is Juicy Juice. So I know you've all heard that name too. I enjoyed watching what she did every single day, and now she's basically got a, visual diary of everything we went through. Okay, so Kathy's Instagram is Kathy Deggendorfer, KathyDeggendorfer. That's her handle in Instagram, all right? Also, she does sell her work, all right? So this is one of her this is the one that right now is for sale. It's called the latest piece is called Opening the Klamath, okay? There are open editions, and I didn't know what that was, and they're available at Making It Local Gallery in Sisters. An open edition means that they can print on demand. I think there's Giclée, I'm not sure, so forgive me if I'm wrong, and they are signed, so that's all wonderful. So you go to Make It Local for open editions. However, then there's the Wildflower Gallery, there are in Sisters, and there are originals and limited editions, so there's another way, and you can imagine that, depending on well, right? Right. And then also, Art Elements in Newberg, Oregon has wine country images. So you might want to check that out. I absolutely love, love her work. So, and just in case you happen to be in the Sisters area in August, both she and Tanya Phillips are having a joint show at the Stitch and Post and Twigs. They're in Sisters, Oregon. So you can go shop like the first thing in football time and enjoy a wonderful exhibit as you enjoy their work. So I want to thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. I'm not sure what I'm going to do Monday, but I'll tell you what I'm thinking about. A lot of people have asked me what are the features I love most on my sewing machine. Now, you all know I'm Bernina, but I think as you get into higher end machines, a lot of the, features are universal. And it's so like, what are my go-to favorite things? So thinking about doing that Monday. And until then, I am picking up my granddaughter and daughter from the airport. They were in competition cheer, and they were up in Seattle. I saw there were Seattle people, and they won best of show in their category. Now, the other thing I'm going to say is that 30 to 40% of the kids on the floor were sick, sicker than dogs. But just like when you're a true athlete and you work on a team, you go do it. No, 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 no exception. Oh, and by the way, forgot to say the title of the show that's going to be in August. It's called The Patterns of Our Lives. Hey, right there's a prompt. So I will see you guys. Thank you so much. And be careful, be safe, and don't get sick. This whole thing that's going around is, yeah. So, uh, bye.